Thank you for waiting, Anne. You may begin.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. This is the meeting of the Chagrin Falls Parks Commission. Our first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the April 7th meeting. I'd like to make a motion that we approve those minutes.
I'll second, and I'll note that I have to leave at the top of the hour.
Okay, thank you. The next item is an application from the Chagrin Valley Little Theater for a karaoke event in Riverside Park on Saturday, June 12th from 7 to 9. I talked to Nancy yesterday about it. Is she here? Nancy, are you here? Because I'm really not too clear on what karaoke is and what they are planning to do. I mean, I Googled it, so I kind of have a dim idea, but I was hoping Nancy could explain to us better what they want to do. Todd, you seem to know.
Yeah, I know what karaoke is.
Okay.
It was invented in Japan, but I don't know. I would imagine they're just going to have a sound system out there, and people can get up and sing along, and sing whatever songs that they put up on. I would imagine some kind of a pad that they're using for the words, iPad, something like that, I would think, because most people don't know the words to most songs.
Nancy just joined, if you want to give her a second. She's logging in right now.
Okay.
So is it one person singing at a time?
I don't know in this instance, maybe they.
Hi, I was having trouble getting on the meeting. You're talking about the karaoke? Yeah, yes. It's one person singing at a time, maybe two.
Duets, or it's not the.
Yeah.
They're not going to be having a chorus of people from the little theater itself that actors.
This isn't the little. I mean, this isn't for the little theater necessarily. It's for anybody.
Right.
Just like, musicians, I was up there the other day, there's musicians by the popcorn shop all the time. Mm-hmm. This isn't really any different from that. But we'd like to reserve the space, the paved space at the front of the park.
The plaza area.
The plaza area, right.
Yeah, and yesterday I checked out, there are two outlets there, which I did know about in those two center beds. So that shouldn't be a problem to get electricity.
Okay.
Did you talk to the fellow who's going to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, and he says he's going to use like an iPad or something?
That's what they were saying. Yeah, we had a meeting Monday. There's a couple people involved in doing it, working on it. And that's what they say they're going to use an iPad. I don't know the mechanics of the thing, but that's what they're telling me.
Yeah, it's just for the words. So you can to the song.
Yeah.
Why does the little theater want to do this? I'm just curious.
Because they think it'd be a lot of fun and that people will enjoy joining in singing. A lot of people really like karaoke.
Okay. So it's just a fun thing and there's no benefit to them other than
here we are as CVLT, we haven't been able to do plays for a year, actually, over a year. We've been shut down, and so here's an opportunity to, kind of remind people that we exist.
Okay. Well, I have no problem with it. I mean, would someone like to make a motion that we approve this?
I'm not going to vote on it.
Okay.
I think it sounds fun. I vote to approve that.
I'll second.
Okay. So we will recommend to council that they approve this use.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And come and join us.
Yeah, I know.
You're in the world. So.
You're going to have jugglers too, or not? No?
Well, we could. We actually did. Young man, he juggles. Any of you who remember Barnum, when we did Barnum, maybe, I bet it was like 5 years ago now. and he's a lot taller and a lot older now, although he's still only like 20, maybe 22 at the most. He juggles. He was juggling, doing magic tricks, walks on stilts, all kinds of, he's makes little balloon animals. He entertains kids at birthday parties.
Right.
So yeah, I actually could ask him to show up. That might be funny.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. The next item is the Riverside Park possible playground replacement. And Erin has very kindly offered to be here to explain her understanding of where we are with this right now.
Yeah, I would, rather than just talking about a potential playground replacement, I think it's better to frame this as upcoming capital improvements to Riverside Park, because this is not just about a playground. About 18 months ago, so randomly, local government is contacted by our state and federal representatives and offered to submit a list of projects that we may have that we are considering for funding. And what was it? I guess maybe 18 months ago, Rob, we would like money to fix the path through Riverside Park. It's been on the agenda for a while. It's expensive because what we're going to do is we're going to lift up the brick path, put a cement pad down, and then lay the brick back on top. Well, new brick, our matching village brick that, as you're all aware, we've been working towards in the parks. And obviously through this project, we're looking to have a safe walking path, have it be handicap accessible, facilitate easier snow removal, because right now we do have some drainage issues that we'd also like to solve. So it's a big ticket item, but it's also probably one of the most crucial items we have that's very forward facing to both residents and to the wider Chagrin Valley and Cleveland areas. So we put this request in through Senator Dolan, and we found out in January we were getting $100,000 to fix the path, which is fantastic. So it is a state appropriation through the budget process. We will have to do some works through NatureWorks, or some work through NatureWorks for the funding with the ODNR, and we're waiting for the details on what that looks like. But part of this path that we're doing is we are going to straighten it, and this has been honestly kind of a long conversation in this community. Well, I became aware of it 4 years ago with the last playground conversation. I mean, it's in records back as early as 2000 or 15 years ago or so. It was in the last NatureWorks grant proposal that eventually they'd like to straighten this path. So it's interesting that it's come up multiple times through different groups unbeknownst to each other. So now we get to do it. But as we straighten the path, it's going to come close to the current structure. Coincidentally, we had someone reach out maybe a week or so before we found out about the grant, who was interested in helping provide some funds to design and eventually build an updated playground in Riverside. So these two projects are sort of dovetailing together. We are working on a donation agreement with this local family foundation. Some of the family foundation members do live in the village. Some are in Hunting Valley, Moreland Hills, surrounding areas. So I'm working with the foundation to see if we can make a grant agreement that we're both comfortable with, and then council will go from there. So they would provide funds for a design is sort of the general concept. And eventually we would go through public listening with a designer to get an idea of what parents and community members would like to see within the play space. And then we would be looking for a public fundraising campaign to raise the funds for it, since we don't have those dollars in this year's budget. And during this project, we do have some funds put into our capital budget for this year to put down a rubberized surface in the play space. The mulch is becoming kind of a maintenance issue for us. Getting the wood chips down there on a regular basis is, time consuming for a department that has a lot of other responsibilities. And we want to make sure it's always a safe space for children, since those wood chips do provide the fall impact absorption. So that's sort of where we're at. I don't have a lot of details. I can't get into a lot of the details until we get it, until the foundation has a chance to look over the donation agreement and we can, sort out some of that stuff. But that's generally sort of some stuff that's coming to Riverside.
Do you have any idea how soon the family will be considering this? Or their foundation?
Dale's admin had the audacity to take a vacation last week. So we are working through the draft on our side still. They have not received a draft from us yet.
But as far as the capital improvements go, the goal is to put in the new sidewalk this year, right?
We are looking at construction start date to follow the fall blossom event that the JCs are planning. So we would be working during the less used season. I mean, there's only so much we can do. We could have a great November, and I'm sure we're going to have 80 degrees this November because we'll have the path torn up, but you know, it's never going to be a great time. So
Obviously, it's going to be a much bigger playground than it is now, I'm sure.
no, what? No. That's not the conversation at all.
Okay. I
It
thought
would be within the similar footprint to what we have.
Oh, okay.
We're not taking over the whole Riverside Park. No.
So the playground will just, it'll still be the same footprint, but because the sidewalk will be over on the riverside, then the whole playground can move over to where the walk is now.
Yes, it'll be a cohesive space in that it'll be a single surface between the swings and whatever play equipment would be there. So that you don't have kids like stepping over these like 8-foot railroad ties.
Yeah, those are a real trip hazard. And, you know, I walk through there every day and the benches are really dangerous right now because there are metal bolts sticking out. Some of the corners of the benches are broken. And I mean, somebody could get hurt there right now. I think, you know, maybe it deserves a little attention even before the replacement, because we have a whole summer to go through.
Yeah, that would
What
be
do
a
you
question
think?
for Rob and John.
We'll look into that and see what adjustments or repairs we can make. You're talking about the wooden benches, obviously.
Yeah, especially the ones that are in the mulched area. Those are really in bad shape.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Okay, thanks. So we'll just stay tuned on this, but I still have a question about, you know, that playground was built in separate parts. The main part was 13 years ago, and the swings and the tunnels were 11 years ago. And that part, the swings and the tunnel, was funded by NatureWorks. And I don't know how that grant works. I mean, are we gonna have to pay back money to NatureWorks?
I think that's probably, according to Tim, it's probably unlikely. We received a $34,000 grant 11 years ago. $3,000 of that went into the tubes and the swing structure. The remaining $30,000 was used to remove the drain tiles and fix some drainage issues that were from the old skating rink that we had in the
Right.
Depression. So the bulk of that was drainage work. Tim's sense of it was that we weren't going to have an issue with NatureWorks.
Okay, good.
I mean, clearly, I mean, the village really relies on grants, and we appreciate our relationship with NatureWorks and the ODNR, and like, we're not going to damage our relationship with that over some tubes and a swing. So yeah.
So could they possibly remain? Or they probably won't?
I mean, and if depending on the structure as we take it out, I mean, it's possible we could move the existing structure to River Run Park, where we have a very, very old structure, which is definitely probably ready for a different life than it's currently serving. And I know there's some interest in the community from having a play structure at River Run Park that's maybe more adjacent to the ball fields, since, you know, there is a river down there and children and rivers are always the curious combination.
Well, that leads into the next item I have on the agenda, which is that River Run Park is really in pretty bad shape right now. So, John, I know you are abundantly aware of that. Is there any plan to do anything this summer down there?
Yeah, we got approved in the budget to replace and install a new dog fence and our like board-on-board fence up against the service garage property. And we're ready to have it dry out a little so we can reseed and top dress that whole area in the dog park. So
Yeah,
it's just Mother Nature's not cooperating with us.
right.
So
And we also have some money in the budget for the back part of the parking lot at River Run, where the pavement's in poor condition and part of the pathway. So that'll be part of our road program bidding out probably the first run. So we'll be getting that
Okay.
up too.
Yeah, that's in bad shape too. I have some understanding that There's talk about putting a pickleball court in there, in that area. Is that right?
The mayor had mentioned that idea, and wanted us to look into that when we repave that area, but there's been no formal decision on it. We are going to be looking at that though.
And what about the two little playgrounds? I mean, I don't think anybody really knows they're there. And they're in bad shape too. I mean, there's one little area of swings that's kind of near the backstop. And then there's another playground that's larger in the southwest corner. I mean, is the idea that if we take out the playground from Riverside, that we could move it down to that area?
Bill and I have talked about potential locations. That wasn't necessarily one of the ones we had talked about, just because of what I hear from parents who watch baseball games there is that they'd like it closer to the backstop so that they can just have a general visibility of their children. It doesn't have to be like right on top of the backstop. But from where with the way the crusting is of the ground, you can't really see the play space from the backstop area where people naturally watch a baseball game. So it's hard to cheer for your child when you're at the playground.
Right. So we don't really know what's going to happen with those at this point.
I would not say we're moving the Riverside structure this summer by any stretch.
Okay. I do have a question about Grove Hill Park. Nancy, is that a whole separate commission? You're muted.
Yes, it is.
So that
Committee.
doesn't have anything to do with this Parks Commission.
No, it doesn't. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. No, it was part of the arrangement that we made with
The Land Conservancy?
Yeah, when the monies were raised and the property was bought, and part of it was split off. And you can sort of see where the split is, where there's going to be a fence there. Part of it was split off for a village park, and then the other part was sold to the people who are renovating the house there, and that'll be their private residence. So this committee was established as part of that arrangement of the sale and split of that property. And so it's myself, I'm the council representative, and Chantel Mahalik. She's the community member on the board. And then the president of
Rich Cochran.
Yeah, Rich Cochran. And I forget the other gentleman's name, who's also either an employee or a board member of that.
Alex.
Alec, is that who it is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alex, yeah.
Alex, yeah. Also, so there's 4 people on that committee. And it's we had a meeting at the park I think it was last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and walked through there. There was an arborist with us, a couple people from what is his name? Craig Corse, the landscape architect who's with our engineering company, CT Consultants, was there. And then somebody else from CT, another arborist from CT Consultants, and another arborist, and some of the service department, Rob was there, and some other service department people, and some of the neighbors were there too, to this meeting. And we just looked around. It's really kind of rough terrain, a lot of logs, branches, undergrowth that the arborists were pointing out. I don't even remember. One of the things was poison ivy up there. So there's just a lot of things that'll have to be cleaned up. I'm not sure, what's in the budget for that or what the service department plans to do, but the mayor said that there would be some cleanup of just the logs and debris that's up there, vegetation debris. The arborists are going to look at the trees and decide, what trees should come out, what shouldn't. That'll be a conversation because there needs to be some clearing. There'll be a small area. I think there's, what are they pink flags, Rob? There's like around a sort of a circle area.
I believe so, yeah.
About maybe a quarter of the way up from the sidewalk where there'll be
Mhm.
some slight degree of leveling and a little plaza type area there. But otherwise, the park's going to be, mainly left in its natural condition, although not as rough a natural condition as it presently is.
Mhm.
So
That's great.
there's no other meeting scheduled that I'm aware of. I think, well, I don't think we have anything in the budget for it. There's a fence going up. In fact, it was reviewed by Architecture Review Board. I don't think they approved it yesterday morning. And the village, I think we're contributing $8,000 to that fence. And if it's more than that, the people who bought the residential part of the property will pay for the rest of it. But so that it'll be back at the Architecture Review Board 2 weeks from yesterday.
Great.
So also, we do have a small sum of money budgeted for the design and engineering phase of the park. So this year, I think the plan was to kind of clear out the debris, the dead tree material, fallen debris, and then plan out what we want to construct there. And then next year, we would look at budgeting for the actual construction. In reading the terms of the donation agreement, let's see here, it says that the village would establish a committee to serve the new park, and then they would recommend to the Village Parks Commission what they would like to see at that property, would then recommend that to Village Council for the final design. So that's how the structure and flow of things is set in the donation agreement.
Also, keep in mind that this parcel is on the council agenda right now for rezoning. It's currently zoned as residential space, and we are looking to rezone this as conservation space.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Maybe, I don't remember if it was last month or the month before here at the Parks Commission. And I think, as I recall, everybody agreed that the conservation zoning was more appropriate for the parcel. And as far as I know, pardon me?
I agree based on that agreement that we have with them.
Yeah. And we don't have, the Grove Hill Committee doesn't have a meeting scheduled as yet to review any kind of plans or proposals for the design of the park.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the information. Under miscellaneous, I have a couple of things. I just don't understand the flamingos in Triangle Park. I mean, they never came to council, to parks to ask permission to do that. Was that not necessary because they were in that corner where, the signs can be posted? But they did have a sign. This is for the raising money for the music at the high school. Shouldn't that have to been approved by parks?
Not aware of the flamingos.
Yeah, they were in the southeast corner of the triangle, and a sign, a pink sign.
I don't know anything about that, so I'll have to.
Rob, it's a fundraiser that the music lovers do. I don't know that they did it last year actually, but so they have these flamingos and they put them in somebody's yard, and in order to get rid of them, you have to pay, and then they move them to somebody else's yard. So it's kind of a fundraiser for them.
They've done it for a few years. This is not the
I think
first
it's
time.
kind of amusing. So I don't know anything about the issue of them being in Triangle Park, but I know when you see them in your front yard, you're in trouble.
Right.
So I think, yeah.
Are they in the park right now?
I don't know.
I don't recall seeing them. I'll look into that.
Are those really any different from other signs that people stick in?
They may not be.
Without permission.
Right, they may not be.
Yeah, it's just a short-term fun thing.
I have something to add. They did submit a sign in Triangle Park. They did not indicate that there would be flamingos, but they did get permission to place signage in Triangle Park.
Okay, well, that's good
Okay.
then. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, that
So
makes
I
me
guess
feel
this is
better.
part of their signage, the little pink creatures all over.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just trying to be consistent in how we handle these things. That's
Hey,
my only
Christie.
thing.
I know she went off, but
Yeah.
biggest thing we got to watch out is people sticking stuff in the ground up there because there's so many wires and irrigation up there. And they're getting more and more like the sidewalk signs going up there or whatever. And we just got to be careful of that.
So John, this is Christy. Is that something we want to prevent? I know that we talk about a sandwich board, but if someone, do you want me to expressly say that they cannot have the stick in the ground? That's what we've done in the past, but let me know expressly right now so I can move forward appropriately.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to hit a line, but there's possibilities, especially how thin that wire is, and you put a hole right through our lines.
Okay,
'Cause-
so we're sticking with on top of the ground, sandwich board only, nothing.
Yes, let's do
Okay,
that.
I will clarify on the form itself, and when I approve those, make
Okay.
that be known more clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great, thanks. And also, I think you're probably all aware of the fact that that lovely little building next to Bell Street Park is being renovated, and there's a fellow who wants to have a pizzeria there. The village is allowing them to use that slab for outdoor dining. And I believe the village is going to give them bricks from down at the service department, but they have to pay for the construction of the slab. And they also want to put a gate in the fence there as sort of a fire escape thing. And I understand that we don't have anything to say about that, but I think we should. I mean, that fence belongs to.
And first of all, they have a lease with the village for that space,
Right.
and they're paying for it.
I know.
Well, part of their plan was reviewed by planning and zoning a week.
It was
a
2
week
weeks
ago
ago.
Monday at its last meeting.
Mhm.
They were planning and zoning reviewed part of the plan. They're going to BZA for another part of their plan. The fence, for one thing, a fence is required around a seating area like that.
Yep.
And I suppose the architecture review board at some point will have to look at the fence. You know, that would be a procedure, but they're not ready for that yet. The business isn't ready for that yet. Planning and zoning considered the location of the fence, and that's all. We don't consider the design of it or the structure of it. I would think architecture review board will look at that and decide. As far as having a gate in there, I don't see that the Parks Committee, I'm not sure that there's really any authority to tell them that they can't have a gate in that fence. I mean, I guess we could investigate it, but certainly it wouldn't be the purview of Parks to decide whether there was a gate or not a gate in the fence.
So
I think, as I recall, maybe Patty brought up the gate.
she did.
Yeah, she brought up the gate. And I think we decided at planning and zoning that we really didn't have any authority to say nay or yay to a gate in the fence. I suppose we could ask the law director for an opinion, but I don't understand. I don't see that there's a problem with it myself. I mean, most of the outdoor dining, the space between Bell and Flower and whatever it is next to it, there's a little fence across the front, but it's completely open in the middle. There's no gate there at all. It's just open, and it's open in the back as well. The other outdoor dining areas that I can think of, all had gates to go to the outside somewhere. When we had sidewalk dining, and hopefully, we'll be able to get back to that this summer. People ate on the sidewalk. There was certainly no fence around the gate, and that's, public property. I mean, that's typically council defines the sidewalk dining as a temporary thing. The little, well, that's private property. I mean, there's, other private property areas. So I just don't see that it's an issue. I'm not sure why it would be an issue. I mean, that park is open The fence is only there probably for as much decoration as anything else along the side along Bell Street, the part that's there. But it's just open to the public and anybody can come and go as they please. So I guess I don't really see the difference between walking to the park off the sidewalk or wherever, or entering it from that restaurant.
I can tell you that we were not planning, or we won't allow a walkway from the current walkway to the gate area and the fence. We're going to leave, the grass in place the way it is. If after they open and after they're open for some time, if it's the wishes of the Parks Commission for a greater buffer, like a landscape buffer, a row of bushes or something in front of that fence, the village will look at that. We'll consider that improvement there as well. And we'll monitor this issue also.
Okay.
That will have to be gated and kept shut because if they're using that outdoor patio area, they get their alcohol permit, they can't take that alcohol off premises and in an open fashion. So there will be signs posted to that on the inside. So
Yeah, that was my main
patrons just
concern.
really going back and forth, that won't happen.
Okay.
Or they risk losing their liquor license.
Yeah, that's a bigger concern for the business than for us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the last thing I have is that I noticed the service department put in the 4 new autumn blaze service berries in Riverside Park yesterday. They did a really nice job. The plants that we've put in there around where the trees used to be were not disturbed at all. And John, I'm just wondering, are you going to put gators on those trees?
I haven't seen the final process. I didn't know if the gators would cover up some of the perennials.
Right. I think if you put them on so that they were toward the river, it might work. I don't know. I just worry about the fact that those trees really get baked there in those boxes.
Hold on, you asked a question and I was muted. I muted you. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just saying, I worry about those new trees getting established if it gets really hot and dry there.
Yeah, if we got to put gators on them, we will. I mean, it just,
Okay.
right now we got plenty of moisture in the ground.
Yeah, we do.
So,
Okay. That's all I have. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, then our next meeting is, what did I say? Wednesday, June 2nd.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yep.
So
Thank you,
it
everybody.
is now 9:04. I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much.